Let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. It is 9:30 and let's do a roll call.
This is in no particular order. Member Ed McCurvey,
Here.
Member Stan Green,
Here.
Member Larissa Fry,
Here.
Member David Horowitz,
Here.
Member Katie Adams Pewitt,
Here.
Member Sam Zen.
Here.
And just for the record, Mr. Robert Taylor is not in. He did indicate that he was not able to make the meeting. However, he did say that he will try to make it on Zoom to be part of the discussion. But that's the only information that I have right now.
Very good, Fernando. Thank you. We are now also joined by our interim city manager, Richard Tree. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you here. I know that we wanted to start this committee a few months ago, but because of all the things going on, it's starting today. Really would just do an introduction here as we talk, but we do have to do some oral communications, Fernando. Do we have anybody? Do we have anybody online?
No, and just for the record as well, public participation is no longer available for online. So if anybody is hearing this meeting, you will have to be in person to make public comments. We won't be allowing that on Zoom.
Okay, so in-person public comments, and we have no visitors here, so oral communications applies to visitors, right? Not
Correct.
any of us here. So we will go on with the meeting to scheduled matters. Scheduled matters and is introduction. So I think what I'd like to do, because I want to get to know you guys a little bit better, is just start with an introduction of myself. Then we can go around the room and I just ask you guys to tell us something about yourself, and we'll just take it from there. Nothing complicated. We just want to get to know each other. My name is Ed McCurvey. I grew up in Porterville, and really excited to be chairman of this committee, and invited you guys all today and continue to invite other members of the community to participate with us. But I've always had a focus on downtown growing up in Porterville. And so I'm really excited about this meeting because I have a lot of ideas, and I'm hoping that we can all pull together some ideas that help us to restore the identity of our city the way we all remember it, and restore the spirit of our city. I'm excited to be here as the leader of the committee, but I'm really just a facilitator. So really want to facilitate the discussion so that we can get the best ideas for everybody. And I don't know if that's probably adequate as an introduction, but I'll leave it there. Stanley, you want to go next?
Yeah, I guess I can. Might as well. Can't dance unless you try, right? My Stan Green. I was hatched out here in Porterville over on the old hospital on 3rd Street. In fact, my grandmother, my mom's mom, helped crack the egg. She was a nurse at Porterville District. Well, I don't know if it was Sierra View. I think it was just Porterville Hospital back in those days. But but I'm probably older than everybody in here, so I have different memories of Main Street, like when Montgomery Ward's was on Main Street, and Lynn's Toy Haven. You remember Lynn's Toy? Oh yeah, man. That was a place to go when you were a kid, go in there and just drool over all the toys. But yeah, we got involved in this. It's going to be hard to my memories of Main Street are probably never going to be realized, bringing it back to what it used to be. But because it was the center and the hub of Porterville. Everything happened on Main Street. Get drunk on Main Street. You can buy your clothes on Main Street. Just everything was there. So, and hopefully we can at least make things look a little work better for the folks. Next.
I'm Larissa Fry. I've lived in Porterville almost my whole life. The first 4 years I was someplace else. I'm a 3rd generation business owner. My dad and my grandparents both had pet stores on Olive Street, but my dad for a while was on Main Street. I worked at Harris Home Furnishings, which is a block off of Main Street, for 38 years. And there were a lot of times when they were trying to get downtown committees going that they would include us because we were just over a block. I grew up on Main Street. I remember not quite as far back as you, but Marshall's, Porter Theater was not far. Port Richards has been there forever, and numerous other places When I was a kid, we spent our Saturday mornings with my mom and my grandma, and we walked up one side and back down the other of Main Street and hit all the little dress shops. We hit Thrifties. So Main Street and bringing some of those amazing things that they used to have and draw people downtown, I'd like to see that come back too.
I'm Katie Adams Hewitt. I was born and raised in Porterville. Moved away to go to college, came back. Talked my previous boss into moving down to Main Street, where we opened the home realty office and revamped it. And that ignited a passion to see Main Street just blossom again and be what other Main Streets have or other towns have on their Main Street. So my goal has been trying to do the commercial businesses downtown and get new businesses to see the benefit of being downtown.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Sam Zins, born and raised here as well. Worked for Walmart distribution for 24 years. Learned a lot of stuff out there. Got into the restaurant business 10 years ago. Since then, we've been fortunate enough to be able to grow. So we are opening more stuff downtown. I think it's important for the growth of downtown to be able to have people jump on board and work together to bring a common good for downtown.
Dave Horowitz, I'm not from Porterville, I'm a Virginia boy. Well, I'm a Redskins fan. Anyway, I moved here in '84 and in '84 when I moved here, there wasn't an empty space downtown. You had Bullards, you had Fort Richards, you had Tina's and Vogue and all those places.
Brimler's,
Right.
Leggett's.
It was booming, it was booming. And I would like to see it like that again. And actually it was booming like that and even up into the 90s. Because when I opened was 91. And I actually opened out of my garage for 6 months because there wasn't a spot available on me. So I had to wait for Richard Camarena to close his clothing store. Remember that? And then I moved into his location first and then eventually bought where I'm at now. Moved in there. So I'd like to see it get back to that too, you know. In most towns, downtown is the hub. Downtown's where everything happens, you know, it starts in downtown. And I'd like to see it get back to that again. I know we've got a lot of issues that we need to deal with, and I hope we're going to be able to deal with them. We've got a lot of out of town owners is probably a big problem with the properties. Also, we need to see about helping people that do own properties do some work on them if they need. Probably that's getting ahead of us, but one of the things I thought of as a goal was back when Hufbaker was the city manager, they were able to get grant money. Where like Ligrin's redid the front of his building with the new lettering and the lighting and it was to make downtown look better and more uniform. So there were a lot of things happening. There was the Irish Festival, there was a music festival in October, there was something going on, car shows, you name it.
Chili cook-off.
Right. We need to get back to doing those sorts of things and make it a family type thing downtown. Like Larissa said, families would come and walk one side of the street and then walk the other. So we want to get back to that. But anyway.
Get that foot traffic.
Yeah, so I've been here since '84, so been here quite a while, and I'm basically a Portervillian these days, you know, I'm here for the rest of my life, so.
Unless we decide to run you out.
Yeah, that's possible. Thanks.
You like me to say a couple words? Rich Tree, the interim city manager. Like many of you or all of you, born and raised in Porterville, grew up just off of East Cleveland and remember riding my bike downtown and shopping downtown. It was just brings good memories. I think from the city's side, you know, we are the execution arm of the council. And so we are aligned with council in the direction that they want to go, and then our job is to execute. And you may have noticed some work already being performed to streamline operations, to make it easier for businesses to have a sign. For example, we're taking a common sense look at an approach to our sign ordinances. And so there's gonna be a lot of work that's geared to business related activities, but also to support our local businesses. So we're really excited to be working along with the council and making these initiatives happen.
Thank you, Richard. All right, so we don't have Mike with us today. He was not able to attend, and we're looking forward to having him in the next meeting, and we'll get to know Mike better. And hopefully he'll watch this YouTube and he can give us some comments. Mike, when you watch this, give us some comments, and then we'll see you on the next meeting. I want to do an introduction. Thanks to all for sharing a little bit about yourselves and your connection with downtown. It's a good way to for the public to get to know us a little bit and our motivations. And I think it's a great introduction. So thank you for all of that. I want to start before we go into some of the details of the meeting with a little bit of vision. And this is a biblical idea, right? People die from the lack of vision. So we need to have a vision. And so as we go into this, I would like to let you know what the vice mayor's vision is, and it may not be shared by all, but I will tell you this. I believe that the identity of our city is completely reflected in our downtown. And so if we can create that downtown identity, that's going to resonate throughout the whole community. One of the things in the new council that started last November is a refocus on the direction of Porterville, and that is on law and order. Because we don't want to go in and put in roads and put in infrastructure and put it and fix parkways and do things where we're spending tens of millions of dollars if we don't have law and order. And so one of the foundational issues or understandings of the new council and the new direction we're going in is law and order. Because we want to build on a solid foundation, a rock solid foundation. And the past has not focused on that properly, but now we have new direction. The people have spoken. The infrastructure you see, we've already done some of the road paving down on Main Street. Stan and I talked quite a bit because he's an expert in trees and agriculture on the trees that we put in. And we went yesterday to give you an idea to Lindsay to look at their trees, which are been in for a while. They're the same trees. And so if you get a chance to go to Lindsay, which is close by, and see the trees down on Main Street, you can see the potential of our trees. And they can get very tall. They can go up to 2 stories, and it will depend on how we prune those trees, because now we have assets that may last a lifetime if we take good care of them. And they may have a good reflection, and also the value of shade in the summer when it's hot, and the value of not having any leaves in the winter, so that we can really celebrate downtown when we need the sunshine in the winter and when we get together for our parades for Christmas and things of that nature. So focusing on the roads, community center, the parkway, and no longer neglecting the homeless problem that is plaguing mostly California and a lot of cities around California, but we have focused on that as a council. And so that is foundational to our downtown and all of our business, because we want to make sure that we are protecting the safety and of everybody and also the security of our businesses. So that's going to be a focus of this committee that I'm going to bring too, because that has to be central in that foundation. I believe that the entrepreneurial spirit of this city, which makes it very independent, needs to be restored a bit. And the way that we do that is we create the conditions for that. And we can do some of that with the city in regulations and zoning and things like that. And we can discuss those things too, because we want also whatever items we discuss here for the downtown focus on business, we want that to resonate out to all the businesses in Porterville too, because while downtown may be specific to our identity, the fundamental opportunities for safety and security and good roads and all those things, we need to do that across the whole enterprise, across the whole city, because then we all work together for the good, right? So we want to focus on creating those conditions. And I think the downtown committee might be the primary focus, but in our back of our minds, the things that we do here will resonate with other areas of our community because it's part of our identity. We want to deregulate where possible to facilitate that for economic growth. And we want to define some regulations or redefine some or refine some regulations like the sign regulations so that they're a little bit less cumbersome. And, maybe we can provide some incentives to this process that move us in the direction that we'd like to go as a city. We have started a heritage committee, and that's to focus on the heritage of our area, right? Our people, our history, our country. So we're going to be talking a lot about heritage and other committees, but I like that to be a theme as we talk about downtown Porterville, because I believe, and we are inviting the museum and other historians to the Heritage Committee, I believe that some of our history is being lost. And so we'd like to restore that as part of the downtown thought process as well, because there are some very important things that are downtown that may need to be emphasized and marked, and that helps us to restore the identity of our city. So focusing on the heritage and the history, and for the next, let's say the next year or so, the council is going to be pushing hard for celebrating our history. So in 2026, the museum will be 60 years old. The home rule, which is the charter city status of Porterville, will be 100 years old, and our country will celebrate its 250th birthday. Those things all align really well for us. So if we can keep that in the back of our minds as we restore downtown, those things really resonate through time. But there's a good opportunity for us to celebrate those things as we rebuild our identity or restore our identity for downtown. And I'd like to just open up this committee with that foundational introduction to what my vision is and what I believe the council's vision is, and how that might fit into our conversations moving forward as we define the scope and where we're going to go with this thing and what we might be able to accomplish. And we've already made some inroads into doing some things downtown, but we still have a long ways to go, in my view. And with the expertise of the men and women in this committee, hopefully we can come up with some good ideas that are practical, pragmatic, and some things that we can do to really supercharge this as we go into next year. So that's my introduction. And I wanted to just open that up for some questions or some comments before we get into the nitty gritty. So I'm just going to leave it right there for a pause and some silence and let you guys comment on that.
Well, I want to say this. I love the look of downtown right now. It's improved a lot. I love the streets. I love the planter boxes. I think we're heading in a good direction. I like to see that. As far as history goes, I actually didn't know this when I bought my property, but the last man ever hunted down and killed by a posse, the gunfight started in my jewelry store.
It's Jim McKinney.
Yeah, I found that out in '03 when they reenacted it. The city came to me and asked me if they could use the property. So they reenacted the situation.
Yeah, that was Scotty's Chop House.
Yeah, it was Scotty's Chop House Saloon. It was owned by Scotty Calderwood. In fact, I found in the basement some old photos and stuff. So we're thinking about remodeling the building. We've been there quite a while and there's been no work done on it. It's time to put some money into it. And it's paid for, so I could easily go get some money. And when we remodel, I want to do an old industrial look. And we're going to put up some photos of Main Street from the early 1903, 1904. And I actually have tokens from a lot of the old bars. It started
down the basement?
No, I bought them
You found
in different places. A customer came to me and said, "Hey, you own Scotty's, right?" Yeah. They got some tokens on sale on the internet. So I had my son go find them and buy them. And that got me started on other places. So I've got it from the Stag and from the Pioneer. And did you guys know we had Primo's bowling alley and bar?
Oh, well, you know, like the cellar downstairs, that used to be a bowling alley at the cellar. Is that where you're talking about?
I don't know. I don't know where it was located. I just found a token and bought it. I thought it was cool.
Look, because I almost brought those, both of them, that Jeff had, my mom bought for me from Jeff. Main Street, Porterville. It's got pictures you know, all the way.
Oh, the book,
Yeah, the book,
Yeah, I have
there's
that
two of them. He's got two.
Right.
There were two, at least I know two. I almost brought them down here because you wanted to.
Why don't you bring them on the next meeting?
I
It'd be
will
great
bring
to
them next
discuss-
meeting, and that's what I kind of thought. I thought, well, I'd bring them and maybe people pass around the room, look at some of the old Jeff Edwards old photos that he's found and done. I mean, it's too bad we didn't have him around still for 250, for our 100 this coming year. Because the guy was just an ocean of knowledge.
He was.
Porterville.
Did have an apprentice. Guy that followed underneath him, his name's John McWilliams. Owns
Did
an
he
antique
take
shop.
over? Does
He
he
got
have
a lot.
all?
He's in,
Yeah,
he's in Three Rivers.
Yeah, he's got an
Oh,
antique
really?
shop in Three
Yeah,
Rivers.
yeah, but he comes to town a lot. I've seen him all every now and then.
That's something I didn't know that.
Yeah, he has a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, because Jeff, I mean,
Go
Jeff,
right ahead.
Yeah, one thing to add to your vision, Vice Mayor, and it's something that we've talked a lot about, and engaged with other partners throughout. And the vision for the Vice Mayor and the Mayor is to make downtown a destination.
Right,
And
Right,
how do we
destination.
do that? And so I think that's a good vision to have to add to what's already been spoken about.
so this is kind of a theme, and I'll just regress and then we'll go around and talk some more. This is a theme that the mayor and I have talked about a lot, and I know the whole council and now the city leadership is talking about, and that is we are off the beaten path. That's both our strength and our weakness. But if we can create a place to go to as a destination, then we can maintain the charm and then we can attract business and help our economy. So there's going to be some things that the council is going to be working on to create that idea of a destination. And downtown is the center of that identity, and there'll be other things, but we'd like to make that. So if, for example, in our conversations with the tribe and their expansion out there, people are going to come to Porterville for that, and they may not all want to stay at the casino all day. They may want to come into town and check us out. And so there's, as a destination, the casino's a destination. So we want to partner with the tribe and other things that we'll do around town to make us a destination, and downtown is a central part of that idea. Thank you for bringing that up, Richard.
Yeah, that's one of the good things about this man right here is bringing some restaurants to downtown. We need more of that. You know, that's one neat thing about Vicalia's downtown. You go walk down the street and there's Cajun food, there's burgers, there's Mexican, there's steaks, there's you name it, there's everything.
Right, and if you have people that come downtown, then they may go out to the casino. And so we want to make sure that we become a destination, and maybe the Mighty 190 project that is countywide is playing into this also, because then it's the entrance to Lake Success and to the mountains, and we could be a jumping off point for people that want to go explore the wilderness and enjoy the outdoors.
there's also the point too about having more sports facilities to draw like tournaments and stuff to Porterville, soccer tournaments, baseball tournaments, even the Little League tournaments. And we've talked a lot about that, Ed, because everything, you know, I mean, I followed my grandson all over the damn country with baseball. Everything's out of town. Fresno, Visalia, even Corcoran
Right.
has sponsored some, because I think Boswell dumped quite a bit of money on a complex out on the other side of town some years ago. It's just for little league stuff, softball. It's not, you know, regulation baseball. But anyway, that's, you know, you gotta go to tournaments in Bakersfield, Fresno, Modesto, every place but Porterville. And all the little league tournaments, the playoff stuff, they're all out. If you've noticed, they're all out of town. We have a facility here, but it's crappy. Nobody takes care of it. Just before the season starts, everybody rushes out there and kind of gets it cleaned up and kills all the gophers off of it, plugs the holes. But, and it's so bad. I've seen it so bad out there sometimes. You can, between innings, when your team comes in off the field, you got to count heads because you may lose one in a gopher hole out there. Well, where's my center fielder? Pretty bad.
Very good. Any other comments?
When do we get to have for the brewery?
Still working on
Oh, when's, Sam, you're doing your outside thing. When's all that where's that in the works?
Yeah,
Rich on the culvert thing.
in the parking lot.
Yeah, parking lot, the whole thing.
Yeah, so the street, the last component of the street improvements, that's gonna go first. We're gonna take care of that first, and that's gonna get started here pretty quick. Actually, the council just approved the award for it to Mac Engineering. So I would imagine within 30 days.
Yeah, that's right. Huh?
The goal is to get the street done in time for the Veterans Day parade. That's the goal, to have the street completely finished. And then, then we're into weather. But the parking lot, the culvert and everything else is gonna happen. Right after.
Right after that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's good. Then Sam, you can do your outside venue.
That is the plan.
Cool.
That is the plan.
That's exciting too.
There's been a hole there for how long? 25 years?
At least, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Well, that's gonna be great, and that's part of, I'm really glad to hear that we're finally to that place, right? It took many years to get here, so hopefully we'll get those things across the finish line soon. All right, so what do you guys think about, our meeting times? And I'm thinking that we might want to talk about just some laundry items, kitchen items, and that is, I believe we can meet monthly if we have good productive meetings. I don't like to have a lot of meetings. I like to, work on things and get action. I'm open to ideas on that. If you guys want to make some adjustments, because we can always add a meeting. I don't want to have a meeting every 2 weeks and then be a meeting overload. Once a month is probably adequate. And then if we have to get together for something, we can add a meeting. The time of the day, I picked it because I like morning. I know Dave's not a morning guy, and I know you guys all have businesses. So if you guys want to adjust the time, we can adjust the time.
Maybe we tell them we have Bloody Marys down here.
We need an incentive. There you go.
We got a bone, we gotta throw a bone on the table.
That
or
would get
something.
we are. Like, we get Larissa going.
So tentatively, unless I hear back, otherwise, we'll go forward with monthly and 9:30 in the morning seems to be okay. If you guys, we can adjust that as we go, but that's where we're starting.
It's not eight,
That's
David.
not early, half the day's over.
It's not eight,
If
David.
you come at 9, we'll
Tell the
work
rest
on
of us,
time.
it's been burning daylight for 5 hours.
It's only one day a month.
No, we're not trying to make you feel bad there, Dave.
Yeah, you are. I'm broad
He
shouldered.
loves the attention.
I know he does. He does. I know it.
I've been married 45 years. I can handle the abuse.
You could zoom in from home.
Yeah, I don't think you're ruffling his feathers at all.
No, you're not.
So, we laid out in the vision here a very good overarching vision of what we'd like to accomplish, and we talked about it amongst each other a little bit, and we'll develop that. But as far as committee goals, objectives, priorities, I think we've touched on all of those things in general.
Your Honor,
Yes.
just before we get into the next item, do you want to go ahead and make that a motion for the regular meetings?
Yeah, so we could do that. So, the discussion on the table was about meeting times. Hey,
Everybody,
welcome.
sorry.
You made it.
Yes, I'm here.
Good to see you, brother.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, we were just about to talk about the most important thing, and that is when we're gonna meet and what time. And we're gonna make a motion that we meet monthly at 9:30. And if we need to have any meetings, we'll add meetings. And I'd like to make that motion and see if there's any seconds on it.
I can second.
All right, we got a second. Any other comments? All right, so let's vote on this. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And what day of the week?
It's implied that it'll be Thursday every month of, what is it, the third Thursday?
So this would be, I believe it is the third Thursday. Just keep in mind, there are some months that are gonna be a little.
Okay,
So my only complaint on that one is this. I don't get to go to work today till 1 o'clock.
okay,
Because the agri lunch is
Oh,
Right.
on Thursday.
Sorry, today's the fourth
It
Thursday.
is
It's the fourth
What's
Thursday.
today? What do you say?
It's the.
Oh, that's true.
Odd
Okay,
revisions
so
luncheon.
is fourth Thursday okay with everybody for now? We can adjust it later.
Yes.
That was implied in the motion, but we can vote on it again if we need to.
Mr. Orson, are you saying, is the agri luncheon every fourth Thursday?
Yes,
Do you want to stay away from the agri luncheon?
No, we'll go with them.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because it's, I think, as long as we don't get hung up for 2 hours, I can't imagine that, or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, does it create a hardship for you?
No,
Okay.
Okay, so fourth Thursday.
nothing creates a hardship for me. I just do what I'm gonna do.
The man. Hey, Rob, we did a bunch of vision stuff in the beginning, and you'll be able to go and check that out. We're really glad you made it. We were loath to start the meeting without you, but we wanted to get it kicked off. And so please go back and look at the YouTube and you can see the discussion we had on vision and we'd like to hear, maybe retroactively, we could hear, we didn't get the opportunity to hear all of our visions, but what is your vision for downtown and the committee? And what would you like to see this committee achieve?
Oh, I'd like to see a lot more collaboration amongst the businesses that are downtown, just like it used to be. And I think when we were meeting with it was Denise Marchand, somebody, back in the day. And they were talking about the downtown association that started. And what impressed me about that was that there were about 80 businesses that just voluntarily said, okay, let's do this thing. How much do we need to, what's it gonna cost? And we'll all pitch in. And I thought it was pretty good. I don't think that could happen in the business climate we have today, but that would be, that type of cooperation would be something that I really love to see. I mean, we can do that. I think this group here could do that, but I think that there's a lot of bridges that still need to be crossed, and there's these relationships that need to be built. Trust that would be my big one. I think if we could do that, then there's no stopping us.
Amen.
Back then, we had downtown, like Hope. It wasn't the chamber, it was our own organization.
Right.
What happened was you had to match your business license fee. So if your fee was $100 and you paid $100 every 6 months, and that went to the downtown to pay for a person that was going around and handling all the things, getting ready for the festivals and this and that, and helping us with all that because we are all business owners. So this person, that was their job, was to represent us and go out and keep things organized. And it was great, but you're right. Unfortunately, the business climate changed and you got a lot of young business people in there and they don't realize that as individuals, that's all we are, but as a group, we're very strong. And so they started complaining about paying the extra on their business license.
Sure.
And that's when that organization stopped. And it actually hurt downtown because we lost the car show and we lost the festival in October. And there were all these things that were going on that brought traffic to downtown. And then you had a few business people that got upset about those things because they said, oh, people can't get into my store on those days. And my attitude on that was, those were my seed planting days. So I didn't sell a lot of jewelry during the Irish Festival. But what I did do was they came in to get their jewelry cleaned while they were downtown. The wife spotted a ring or a necklace or whatever, and then the husband came back later for the anniversary in a month. Hey, you still got that ring? Hey, you still. And so it planted seeds for us. You're right. That's when downtown was booming.
But I think those relationships with all the business owners was much greater.
It was.
Today, it's hard. I mean, not everything that happens downtown is going to benefit every single business every time, but having a good relationship with everybody will kind of offsets that a little. Okay, hey, if this is going on, it's going to help Sam this weekend. It's not going to help me. That's fine. It's helping Sam, so I'm good with that. But we don't have that kind of, that, we're not there yet with those
We
relationships.
used to have that too when we had the spring festival and it was fine because we didn't, like Norwood said, you don't make a lot of money that day because usually they have food trucks and everything else. It's just when they started parking 4 food trucks right in front of my restaurant, that's when we had started having problems. Because of that, we talked about it over and over and over, don't put food trucks in front of food places. And yet we still made the decision to do that against the ball.
Well, I'm not talking about anything specific. I'm just talking about relationships in general. And I think that building those is one of, to me, would be one of the most important parts of this. Gain a little more trust back in the city. You poor guys are always gonna be in the punching bag because that's what government is.
That's what the job is.
And if you're a small business, then who's your biggest enemy is the guy that's telling you what to do. Because none of us like to be told what to do. So yeah, just that relationship building to me, I can't see anything ever getting done without that. So that's to me would be my biggest, the thing I'd love to see that.
Very good. And I think that rounds out our conversation really well too, because this gives us maybe an idea for an action item too, because I think one of the things we'd like to do in this is all those things that you said, build that trust and build that community. So maybe there needs to be a subcommittee or a meeting with the downtown folks at some time in the future where we talk about this after we have something to present to them. Because I think if we do that, then we might have a chance to start to restore that and rebuild that and maybe make it and reform that in a new way to try to recapture the essence of that. So I like that idea. I wrote that down here. Great comments on vision. So thank you for those comments. And I think we might have a great action item for the future for us to move this forward after we start to get some traction and move in a direction. Excellent. Excellent. Any other comments to piggyback on Mike's comments? Rob's comments. I'm sorry about that.
I have a question. There is a group also working on Main Street called Redo It. I'm sure you've heard of it. My question is, they're trying to come up with events to bring people downtown as well. Is there a way to form some sort of alliance or some sort of a relationship between that, what's going on with that committee and this one? Or where do we go with that?
So we have the We Do It, which is working on events. Is that part of the chamber?
Yes,
It is. Okay.
It's a subcommittee.
it's a subcommittee.
It's redo.
Redo it. It's a great point. So I think I'll add this in here too as a goal, because we have to be aligned. And I know that we're going to be talking to the chamber on all sorts of other things as well throughout the city. So let's find some ways to do that. I'm not sure what that looks like. Great point. We can have a member that attends. We can invite them to this. We can start to work on the trust between those organizations and the collaboration of dates and things, so that it's probably healthy to have some competition as long as we're not competing and going against each other. So maybe there's some ways we can complement each other.
And I don't see it as competition. I see it as we're trying, same group trying to do
Same
this,
goals.
the same goals.
Same thing.
And they brought back the Hoppa Bunny, which Stan probably
You
remembers.
need some, what was
The
that?
Hoppa Bunny that used to run around downtown, some of the events, there was a mascot for downtown. Redo It's bringing that back, and I feel like we're all focusing on the same goals, like.
Seems like I kind of. When I saw that.
It was part of crazy.
Yeah, you're just trying to make sure the left hand knows what the right hand's doing.
That's exact, and I think it's important, and I don't think it should be a competition, I think it should be something we all focus on together and work. But we all have the same goal, both sides. Just bringing it out, and then the other thing that, this is probably not the place to bring it up, but I'm gonna mention. I have a couple of customers that are really beat me up about handicapped parking, and I realize it's on the side of the stores. But there's nothing in front of our stores.
That was the
Is
big
that-
mistake.
Something we can bring up here, or does that need to be at a city council meeting?
I can bring it up here.
Okay,
And then we have the city manager right here. I'm sure we can get some action.
And I would only complain about redoing the downtown. In the middle of the blocks, they've got that little tiny little planter. My suggestion, and nobody listened to me, was instead of redoing those planters, that, because it takes up one parking space. We could have left that middle planter out with a handicap spot there that was a double spot without losing any parking that way. Because you're right, Janie, as you know, Janie Dingham and I are good friends, and her
Yeah.
son's in a wheelchair. And that's been her complaint to me. She's talked about is she can't bring Jeffrey downtown to go to the vault or anywhere for lunch because she can't park the van and put it down the ramp. Because the only handicap spots are on corners with curbs.
Okay.
And so you can't put the ramp down because the curb's there. So I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that because she's been talking to me about
I
it
have
a
a
lot.
young lady at church that's in a wheelchair, and she's been in to see me, but it's difficult, and
It
so.
is.
She also used to have a dress shop on Main Street, so she remembers the difficulty even then. So just a thought.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem making handicap spots down there. We just have to figure out how that works the best for everybody. So let's review that.
Yeah, but we definitely need to make downtown more accessible to those people.
And maybe just a plug, this coming Tuesday is our capital improvement project special city council meeting. And that it's open to the public, and the council wants to hear what priority project should be for this upcoming year.
Tuesday, what time?
But we're gonna, it's a normal time.
It's at 4 p.m. I think.
The following city council meeting on the 5th is earlier, but this one would be at our normal
Regular time.
regular time.
This coming
Closed session
Tuesday,
is 5:30 and then.
6:30 for.
Yes, yes.
General.
this Tuesday,
Yes, the 29th.
It's the big money meeting.
Yeah.
So all the projects are going to be discussed on Tuesday. So.
Really, the council wants the public to engage, share with them what they feel should be the priority. And so this is a topic, I've noted it, but if someone would speak to that.
By all means, yeah. There's always going to be overlap here. So we've got some great conversations on overlap with the chamber and overlap with the city and projects. So this is a great discussion already. Thank you for those comments. We're going to try to be an action-oriented committee. So if we can get things done along the way as quickly as possible, we want to do that. So by all means, bring up any issues that you have. So long as we don't make the meeting last all day, I think we could tackle a lot of things.
And then we need to deal with the signs.
So,
I know I've had issues with that.
yeah, so the council has been listening to the signs and we're gonna be ready. Go ahead.
Doesn't the city already have a grant program? I think I read on the newsletter or something for businesses to be able to receive funds to make improvements like this.
Oh, is that the cannabis?
There's,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's a few funding sources.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting to me though, because it's a grant, but yet they brought me an application for it.
yeah,
They want to know my credit history, they want to know my bank accounts. I'm like, what the hell business is that of yours? If it's a
Yeah.
grant, you can know my business structure, but
yeah.
why do you need to know my credit, people that I do credit with? And all that? First of all, I don't like giving out my sources. You know, that's the
Yeah.
thing in the jewelry business is connections.
Yeah,
And I don't want to list a list of people I do business with and then somebody else gets hold of that list and now I've got somebody in town trying to take away my source.
I'll take a look at that application. I wasn't aware of it. It was asking that. For
Who's
that
doing
level
that?
for-
Is it the city?
Yeah, the city brought it to me. It's in conjunction, like you said, with the marijuana money.
Just ask for your credit score, or your credit report.
Yeah.
there
Why?
was something in there that I didn't like either, I threw it away.
I threw it away
That
too.
committee is,
I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
It was like,
apologize.
I know, but I'm saying, what does my credit report have to do with a grant? You know?
fair question. And so the committee is meeting. There's a lot of topics. One of the topics is to discuss the program, how it has been going so far, what applications have been submitted. We'll make note of these concerns and I believe that meeting is also open to the public. And so as downtown businesses, if you are frustrated about how the process went and decide not to even submit a project because of the questions that were being asked, I think the committee would like to know that.
And we can discuss it here. We'd like to engagement at the city council meeting too, but I'm not opposed to reviewing all the 2 grant programs we have and the one that was proposed that's not done yet. Because it will be a good place for us to discuss this, because this is where the rubber meets the road. You guys are all business.
One question, David, you said you got you an application, Lori about an application. How did the city choose which businesses to get applications?
I
That
can
would've
answer
been-
that. It was her.
That
and
would
it
have
was-
been me.
Because I didn't get an
It was
application.
So I
the coffee with
walked
the.
down
Now you're in trouble already.
Well, first of all, we put it on social media.
I did get that.
And then we also, all the business emails that I have, I sent an email out letting everybody know, and I don't have every business email. Secondly, I thought I wasn't getting a response, so I thought I would walk down Main Street. Now, if your business wasn't open or you weren't there, then I wouldn't, didn't leave an
I
application.
received mine at coffee with the CEO.
Yes, you asked me
Yeah.
for an application. So yes, I gave that to you.
So do you know how many applications you actually left at businesses? What kind of response you got on that?
So a lot of people were very responsive. I just didn't get a lot of applications back.
Maybe because the onerous nature of the application.
The questions.
Yeah,
I
there were some things on there that I thought, what is that of your business of yours?
10 for the profit and maybe 12 for nonprofit.
Just curious.
It actually brings up another question about what can be done with, some businesses that do not look good. Better safe.
I would like, real quick,
Canopies, things like that.
yeah,
Paint.
Hey,
Signs.
kind of stuff.
I would like to not be able to grandfather in those box signs anymore. That would be an ultimate goal for me. Those box signs, every time my business changes on Main Street, they slide that plastic out and put a new one in, and it's just, it's not a cohesive look for downtown. It's not part of the beautification of downtown, and
I like myself,
the box sign,
big David Horowitz jewelry stuff.
but it's not a lit box, plastic box sign, is it? Exactly.
I think it looks like, no.
And actually, I replace my stuff periodically.
You do?
It gets messed up from the sun
Yeah, but some of these have been hanging up there
forever.
forever, and even the
Banners.
business may have changed, or the banner may have changed, or
Well, that
whatever.
was one of the things with the grant money from back in the day that I talked about when Guy Hubbaker was city manager, was there was grant money available. I think it was $25,000 per business that you could apply for to redo your frontage of the building. So, but you had to follow the rules with signage and lighting and numbering and all that sort of stuff. So it made downtown more, flow together better.
Yeah, I did mine last year, so I guess I was ahead of the curve on getting the grant money.
How much was it? I mean, if we could ask, is it a lot? He said 25,000 in the Huffaker era.
I didn't get a grant. Mine was all out of pocket, so my canopy was about $5,000 probably. And my husband's a contractor, so he did my painting. But even the cost of the paint, we were probably about $1,500 to $2,000 to paint the front of the building.
Just trying to get an idea.
Prevailing wage had something to do with that too at the
Back
time.
then,
When I looked at it, that's what I thought, I ain't done that. Just pay for it. So.
It's a hot topic, this is something we discuss all the
But
time.
if there's grant money available, and people aren't taking advantage of it, that means there's still grant money available that can be used to the businesses to beautify the businesses.
So in future meetings, I think we need to get down to the details in those grants and see how we can take advantage of them and promote them and use that as part of our agenda also. So great discussion on grants and downtown, because we have the history of it, we have the reality of it, but
I have one
let's see what
question.
we have available.
One question regarding the grants. I think it's made available to the businesses, if I'm correct. Or is it made available to the building owners that may,
That's the same question.
okay. I have out of town building owners.
I don't own my building. So do I apply or does she apply? The building owner or the business owner?
That's a great
Some
question.
of
I mean, if we make it available,
But I paid for my sign.
yeah, but if we make it available to out of town business owners, it will help the beautification process, even though we may not have a business in there yet. It'll be a pretty building to get a tenant in there.
And then to help answer that, what we've done in the past with the business owner, we asked the owner of the building to sign it and then also the business owner. So
So
that
it's
we
both.
have, yes, their approval of any changes that.
I think that makes a good connection because as you guys know, and I've said this in open public, is that I would like us to explore evaluating the businesses that are not owned locally and are not operating. And because one of the ideas that we've had, and this is going to be challenging to implement, is that if, and I don't know the numbers, let's just say it's 40% of the businesses downtown are owned by people that don't live here. If those businesses are not active, we can approach this as a process that says if you're not active, then you have to pay a fee because we spend more money as a city to make sure downtown is clean and all of the amenities of downtown, the lighting and the trees and everything cost the city. And so if you're in this zone, there should be an expense for that. But if you're not operating, and if you're operating your city, you're exempt, your business, you're exempt. But if you're not, then maybe there's a fee that goes with that to drive people to lower their rents or update their front or
And that's the
do
reason
something. And
Pam's
this is an idea. I'm throwing it out to the committee and see what you guys think about it.
That's the reason Pam's closing. Her building is owned out of town. It's part of a family trust and the original parents that bought it are dead. The kids just want money. So she's got a leaky roof that was causing damage to inventory and they won't fix it. They just want their monthly rent. So it is that out of town people, it is hurting them because all they want is their money.
I'm gonna speak up on the out of town
Is it
people,
wrong?
because I represent several out of town property owners when I manage their buildings. I've got two right across the street over here that have been vacant for a year. I cannot get tenants to go in there. And we're down at $800, $900 a month in rent. You can't rent something in Porterville, a business location for that. And I don't know if it's the deterrent because we don't have a vital downtown to attract businesses to.
Gotta be part of it.
It's gotta be part of it. I've had people look at it. But again, parking is hard because it is an in building with no city parking around except the 4 spots in front of their building. And it's 5 doors down from a cannabis building. So it does come with a stigma.
Did the people that have looked at that, have they brought up the cannabis building being
One.
close by?
2 of them have.
So that is an actual,
2 of them have, a couple of them actually wanted to open another cannabis in the building, and it's like, you need to go talk to the city on that. That's the city before you come talk to me on it. And then some of it's been having to do PRC and jump through some of those hoops, which is just not a controllable action.
I want to qualify what I said to make sure everybody understands, especially people that are watching, and that is that I'm not against out of town properties. But if it's not active and it's in our downtown area, we have to have some incentives to get them on board. And so this was just an idea and I don't
I
want
think we
to.
may need to supplement them too. I mean, you can't, and this building especially is through a city program. So it has to be regulated through the city program. They can't take a loss on making a city payment if they can't get it rented, and now we're gonna penalize them on it. So things, when we get into that, I think those are all things that have to be taken into consideration.
And you also have down by sports, barbershop down there, boarded up buildings with no roofs, burnt down for years, constantly being broken into, and you constantly have to call the police.
And not even listed,
They listed privately, but for an outrageous amount of money, that's not even close.
not even close.
So you have some extreme examples, you have some practical examples, and so these are things that we're gonna have to wrestle to the ground and decide what we want to do, because we can make some recommendations to the city. And we can look at, the practical application of this idea of creating a fee structure, because it has to be voluntary. You cannot, under the course of law, just force everybody to pay it. So this is going to be a thorny issue, but I think it's a really important part of what we're gonna do in this committee. So great comments, great discussion. And we're gonna have to go in more detail on that.
Bring up one last thing, because you talked about the parking issues. There used to be parking limit, a 2-hour parking limit on Main Street. And I'm a big fan of that. The problem we're having right now is you've got a lot of young business owners who don't get that by parking in front of their businesses, we're losing spaces for potential customers.
Oh, the owners or the
Oh, the
business owners are
businesses
parking.
are parking.
Yes,
Or the owners park in front of other businesses.
right. I've had a problem with, and I'm not trying to pick on them, but Police Goes Jewelry. They're down at the other end of my block, so they come and park in front of my store. And then they walk down to their store and go to work. And so they leave their cars parked in front of my store all day. Which means my customers can't get access to front door parking.
And for me, it's the apartments.
And with you,
And they're
and see,
all.
there used to be, when there were limits, when they first put those apartments in. The rules were they would park in the back parking lot
There's
and the
plenty
main
back
street.
there.
Yeah, there's plenty of room. But then the next council came in and wiped out parking limits. And at that point, they said, well, if we're not gonna get a ticket, why are we parking in the back? And they started filling Main Street. In fact, I went to jail over that. Because I solved the parking problem. But some people didn't like the way I solved it. Which was fine with me. I actually made a lot of money off
I'm
it.
so happy to have you on the committee.
The city didn't get how much money they made me in that situation, because PR is PR, right? And I've made a lot of money off that. I didn't know getting arrested was so lucrative. But no, it was,
I'm not gonna try that. but
no,
thank you.
I don't recommend it. I really don't. It was kind of a little bit of an ordeal, but it was worth it to get things in the forefront where people knew what was going on. But you're right, those people get paid no matter what. They don't care about the businesses, so they fill up the Main Street. And that was part of my problem back then was that I would go my wife and I go to the Eagles Lodge for a drink on Friday before dinner. Hey, Dave, I went to go by the jewelry store this week, but there was no parking. And I even told the judge, I was going through everything. I said, hey, everybody knows you never get between a Jewish boy and his income. He didn't have a sense of humor.
With that on our end of the block, we have Proteus down there who does workshop for training and things of that nature.
Right, and they should be parking in the back parking lot.
They should, but they don't. They park
No,
on the-
because there's no penalty.
There can be some regulations though that can be implemented, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, but the apartment complex I manage on Main Street. The city has mandated my tenants do not park on Main Street. So it is written in their lease agreements that they have to park off of Main Street, and it is strictly enforced. So that might be something for these larger employers. Or go back to a 2-hour limit like David suggested, and maybe when we do a fee structure, that's part of where the fees go, is paying somebody to help enforce this.
And I also, when we had the 2-hour limit,
Besides David.
we had the 2-hour limit. I had a standing deal. Anybody shopping downtown over the 2 hours and got a ticket, bring me the parking ticket. I must have paid, I don't know how many parking tickets for people, which was fine with me. And they didn't have to be shopping in my store. It could be in Rob's or having lunch or whatever. But if they were downtown doing business, I paid the parking ticket.
The problem I see in front of my store is I've been known to go out and put a welcome to Main Street. We appreciate you shopping with us. We just ask that you don't park your car all day if you're working here. And that's worked a little bit, but then they just, okay, they'll move it across the street, or they just move to get around the 2-hour limit.
So let's talk, I'm gonna open up another idea for discussion, which is, it's on our minds too. How big is Main Street? How big is downtown? I mean, is it 2 hours or 2 blocks, either east and west? And north and south, let's start to define, and I'll bring some maps. Let's define the boundaries of what we're gonna consider downtown. And that'll help us with the solutions that we're gonna chase after, and might bring in some new problems for us to face too. So we
And
need,
you guys used to do a block party thing too, which I like.
Yeah, that was eighties.
We're planning one.
Work.
We're planning it.
Good, I'd like to see like
From-
this block 1 month, this block the next month, or try and include both blocks.
I think the plan is to try to include both blocks, but maybe long-term, we've talked about doing one block, another block. That way, if we can do it on a monthly or an every other month basis, it's an attraction to draw people in.
Right, no, I thought that was a great idea.
Sam, you talked about this with me once, a block party too, like
Sam wants to
periodic.
do block parties once he gets a stage in.
To get everything done, and we want to do it on a weekly basis. But in the meantime, we want to make sure if we're having block parties, we need to make sure we're celebrating the businesses that are existing downtown.
Right,
Not by bringing in other food trucks, things of that nature. It would be like me inviting Serrano's Furniture for a block party and setting up furniture all down the middle of Main Street. That wouldn't be the right thing to do for you. Wouldn't be the right thing for me to get another real estate agent downtown or another coffee or chocolate truck and put them in front. That's not that's happened to me in the past. So I'm very sensitive about that. And I just think it's more important to celebrate the businesses that are already on Main Street, the people that have blood, sweat and tears to make sure they build their business up. So where it can be inclusive of everybody, whether it be, again, it was also offered to be able to go out into the street.
That's my question. Can we help the businesses get out to the street?
But if I've already spent all my money on the building
I
and
know.
building up what I'm doing, I shouldn't have to go into the street to participate. It should be inclusive with everybody that is on Main Street already. And we should be working together to where everybody has stuff that they can do, because there's a lot of different vendors out there that can come out that ain't gonna interfere with anybody. And I think that's the biggest part that we need to make sure we're taking a look at, is working together with everybody, not just certain businesses. And yeah, restaurants do well pretty much all year long, but that doesn't mean we have to take from them on a regular basis either.
And I don't think we're trying to take from anybody. We're trying to get people downtown.
Yeah,
And
so I have a thought on this, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just to keep the conversation going, is that because we're downtown and we're unique and it's a different zone and it's a different fee structure and different everything, we need to make sure that the folks that are operating in this area have a priority, are the priority.
Correct.
And that needs to be one of our focuses. And that's not to say that our other businesses in our city are not important. But as we restore the identity, we need to make sure there's a hierarchy there so that those things are respected, a restaurant and a restaurant and the business and the business, so that extreme example that you have doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And I think that if we approach this in that way, because it's unique and the zone is unique, we have to consider how big we're gonna make the zone, if we're gonna change it, or if we're gonna, how we approach it. But I think there's a natural performance standard here that we can develop, and it's not discriminating against other businesses. This is just part of how the hierarchy will work.
My question was gonna be more for Sam, because you are the business oriented restaurant here. I get being opposed to having food trucks in front of your business. I've had realtors set up at the Irish Festival in front of my business, so I completely understand where you're coming from on that. My question, I guess, is, are you opposed to food trucks across the board, even if they're 3 blocks away from your business?
It's not just mine either. I tend to want to stick up for all restaurants.
No, I get that.
You have the Pho place that just opened up, they're brand new.
Which is delicious.
She is delicious. She did a
No,
good job.
I completely
You got
understand
Poor Richard
your
Pizza,
idea,
You got.
but if
there's a
you're
lot of
bringing in a
restaurants.
taco truck, there's no other, maybe taco places downtown or something like that. But also, are we talking, and I guess maybe it gets to the definition of what a block party is versus a street fair. Because a street fair, or even if you to go to San Luis Obispo and they do their farmers market, the restaurants do come out to the curbs. They do bring in outside vendors for food. Most of it is the restaurants coming out on the curb, so people walking up and down can easily walk up and grab something without having to walk into a building. And I get, yes, you paid for a building. But the idea is to get people out on the street and make it easy and want to come down.
There's another way to think about this too, and it's in that same vein, and that is that if you have a brick and mortar and you're all in our city, you should have a lot more advantage than someone that doesn't have brick and mortar. So if it's a food truck only, they're getting a huge advantage over our brick and mortar stores. And so I think that's part of the hierarchy.
And maybe there's an
and that means you
additional
can go
fee for
out
that.
and provide the food on your own in front of your shop, and then maybe you have a truck or something that you might use. But I think there's a hierarchy there that we should define.
And I think it kind of, this is what we'll run into, is that as we create these things, there are going to be businesses that aren't going to participate.
That's okay. No forced fun, right?
And then that's where we need to decide if there's somebody that has something or provides something that that we as a committee want, but they will not cooperate or participate, then do we bring somebody else in from outside to fill that gap because that person downtown won't.
The way I think about it, Rob, is along those same lines is if we cascade the hierarchy, then everyone gets a chance to fill based on that priority.
Right.
And then if someone's not going to be there, then then here's the next level.
Right.
And that way we have some
Yeah, I agree.
logic to it.
Agree with Sam and I agree with everybody. We should be celebrating persons. But again, the peer pressure is the only really tool we have. The guy ain't gonna do it. Then you know what? Okay, we'll find somebody who will until you do. And it's a tough, that's a real tough thing, but you know, everybody, no matter what's going on downtown, everyone needs to participate, whether it benefits them or not, because it might benefit that down the street. And ultimately that does benefit you too.
The stronger downtown is, the
So,
better off we all are.
We all gotta be participating and helping each other out.
So let's, I'm actually making agenda items here as we talk. This is a great discussion. We're over an hour. You guys doing okay on time? Can we keep going? Go a little longer here. It's our first meeting, but great ideas. We're starting to develop the scope. We're starting to develop a lot from this discussion. So really liking where we're at. Stan, any comments?
Not at the moment. I'm just
Okay.
sitting here thinking, which I try to be careful about that, because we can team.
We can talk about this later, but hearing the parking challenges that businesses have downtown. Years ago, did we have parking meters? I mean, a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Long time ago.
And then it was taken out. I mean,
Yeah.
should that be considered?
And you had a meter made that had the long stick with the chalk on it, marking tires going down Main Street.
Yeah.
To a point.
And then people were complaining, like, there was a gentleman named Chuck that owned a sandwich or flower shop, excuse me. And he used to complain about getting tickets for parking. He's like, but I'm in and out. I'm like, well, if you're getting a ticket for being there over 2 hours, how can you be
Being in and out.
I'm not a big
Kind of
fan
hard
of
to do.
parking meters, but you know, can we get creative and create a parking pass or something?
I was
You know,
thinking
there might be some ways that we can
Yeah.
go get around that.
Identify those people that are,
One of the things I tell my
The
clients,
employee
I
needs
get
to
the
give
same
them a-
complaints David gets of, I came down to, I'm a little more unique because I have rentals, so they have to get to me anyways. But I've had some real estate clients come in and say, yeah, parking was horrible. I had to park around the corner. And I come up with the response of, well, how far do you park at Walmart or Target to walk in? I bet you walk
Yeah, but
further
people-
there, and it's a
You're-
mindset. It is a
It
mindset.
is, because you're right. I've said this also to people who complain about, well, I had to park on the next block. But if you go to a mall, you're way out in the parking lot, and then you gotta walk the whole mall to get to a business.
And we have to think about downtown as if it's a mall.
Is it-
Because if we shut it off and then we have a festival or a fair, it's an outdoor mall. And we really have to get everybody thinking about this properly because the parking that we have is behind the main street.
Mhm.
There's a lot of parking behind and it seems far away, maybe perception wise, but it's not. And so that's a
one of the
different
things we're
mindset.
talking about with our remodel is making the back accessible because there's that huge, nice parking. Yes, but we have private parking and then we have our door and it's locked. You can't get in that way. when we remodel, we're thinking about opening it up where people can come in through the back door as well. We gotta be careful with it because it also makes for a robbery issue, you know?
Would parking signage be helpful? Some signs that say parking with an arrow that way or people know, people.
I think people know, I think the 2 hour parking or a 3 hour parking limit is probably going to be the ideal. I mean,
With the
Okay,
time
so
limit.
we'll bring this back as
During
something to discuss.
business hours,
Let's
I
skirt
think
this stuff.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be
Yeah.
talked about.
I
Yeah.
think if we do some sort of enforcement on Main Street proper, but at the same time promote parking lot. Because you guys have a good parking.
Yeah, we have great parking.
Where you can park for as long as you want, but you can only park here for.
yeah,
Then you've
And
got-
that's education, right?
Okay.
It's setting
it's a lot
expectations.
friendlier.
Right, I
to-
believe
to the-
that's
to
in
the
Biden,
customer.
right?
Should be set during business hours, but because that's where a lot of the.
Yeah,
shops
during
are.
business, you will hear, yeah, there you go, that's even
Nighttime,
better.
you don't.
I like that.
That doesn't really.
Yeah, you can make parking rules from say 8 to 6.
5.
Do we have any cars that park overnight on Main Street?
We do.
yeah.
I know there's people that still live, that live in some of their,
We have the
probably not supposed to, but.
we have those apartments right down the street
Oh,
on my block. Where they're mostly parolees and stuff.
All right, how about, I'm gonna skirt another topic here. I really love the idea, and we often think about Visalia because they're the success story in our valley. Outdoor eating, outdoor entertainment. We don't do much of that. And I really think it's a good idea if we did more of that. And I don't know if we do that during festivals only, but maybe even regular business. What do you guys think about
That's what you're gonna be doing when
Sam's
you're.
working on that.
That's my long, as soon as we get everything built up, which is gonna take the time, because we're still waiting for the city lot next door, but. Even when we expand out the vault 25 foot at the front stage, we want to put a stage out there on Main Street, so you can have it on Main Street or in the. For the patrons that are dining in. The downstairs, when we do the palace, we want the same thing. We want to do accordion windows, so you can open that up and you can have live music out there. Problem with that is across the street has the place where a lot of people live. And that's where previous businesses had issues with music being played too loud and things of that nature. So we kind of have to watch that too, to make sure that the residents of those apartments aren't, us being across the street right next door to it, maybe a little bit better, maybe a bit of a buffer. So hopefully that will work. We'll figure something out. But yeah, that's my end goal, is wanting to get stuff done. I've been part of different committees and different things, and a lot of times everybody gets together and not a whole lot of stuff gets done. So I'm trying to do a lot of the stuff on my own just to get it done, and getting feedback from other people, what would be good. And that's something that I'm hoping we can get that parking lot next door, the vault, done too, so that we can start my projects.
Right.
And get that going, because I can't do anything unless we get that stuff worked.
Well, you're playing a leading role just because that's your goals.
Yeah.
So you can really help the committee to steer us in that direction. Thank you for that input. This is a good, you've done some research already and you're working on that, so.
I think there's some challenges with the buildings downtown. I mean, there are very few buildings downtown that could accommodate outdoor dining. Rob's got a great building that would be able to do it because he's got the little alcove in it. I have a small alcove in mine, but most of them are street, flat fronted streets. And so unless you're encroaching out onto a sidewalk, and then you've got to worry about ADA and accessibility and everything else, I mean, yeah, I love the idea of outdoor dining. If I go someplace, I want to sit down outside and eat, if weather permitting, of course. So how do you create that and still?
I think this goes back to the grant program. One of the things during COVID that I thought about a lot was if we had money available to restaurants to help them to develop that area for outdoor. That didn't happen, of course, but can we create some rooftop dining? Can we do some other things around here that make sense? I mean, in San Francisco, they're doing it where the parking spaces are.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to do that, but they're trying to get creative with the conditions, right? I believe, and I'll go on the record and say, I think that where there's a will, there's a way, that even though you don't have ADA, for example, like for the cellar for the old bowling alley, but you have accommodations upstairs, you can still probably operate both, but we have to decide that we're gonna be going in that direction if we're gonna do that, because ADA doesn't mean every seat is an
You
accommodation.
have to offer upstairs, like the cellar in particular, because I looked at that building as well. As long as you have the same thing downstairs as you do upstairs,
Right.
then you're fine. You know, you just have to be able to offer everything that's downstairs.
And I don't know if our city's been very friendly on that, so we have to talk about this and get out our direction.
One thing I found, especially in San Francisco, and it pertained to the ADA, there was a little sandwich shop I wanted to go into. And it obviously was not ADA accessible, it had really, I mean, it's an old Victorian, it had very narrow, it had stairs. They actually had put a placard in their window. And they had a table that sat outside. And so whatever they offered inside, they would offer at that
Right.
table, and basically you could contact somebody off of that.
It's a
placard
reasonable
quickly.
accommodation.
It was an accommodation that they were able to get around the requirement of allowing somebody to come in.
And we see this a lot in like Cambria and other areas in the coast where they don't.
They don't
go all the way
they don't
to
make
the-
their buildings.
Right. But reasonable accommodation, I think, is an appropriate pragmatic approach to that. I know that it would take a lot of changes, but if we make this something that people could move towards, maybe Sam's leading on this, for example, with the stuff that he's doing, but others could then go in that area. I think we would want to kind of go in that direction. That's my opinion. And leave it up to the committee to make I just wanted to open that discussion and talk about that, because I want to make that an idea, something we talk about more in
Well,
detail.
I love that reasonable
Accommodation.
accommodation thing, because there's probably some really great buildings downtown that could be something that aren't because of the ADA thing. And if we can figure out a plan there, get those going, then that'd be pretty awesome.
I talk too much. Okay, so
I second that.
all in favor?
Boy, that's the pot, oh.
That's why I said that.
So
So I get the attention off me.
I think here's my opinion, and I'm gonna just throw this out here and see what direction you guys want to go in. I wrote a bunch of notes. I like to bring the things that we talked about today back to the next meeting. And then we can start talking about short and long-term goals, and we'll start chopping on some of the things we talked about today, and then start setting some short and long-term goals in the next meeting. If you don't want to do it today, I wanted to do introductions today and get vision and direction. And we got a lot of good discussion today. That's where I'm at. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I think it was a good discussion today. I think we got a lot of good viewpoints and good ideas of where we want to go.
Thank you, Dave. Well, let's go around. Sam, you got a pass. Rob, any other comments?
I just appreciate being here with the discussion. There's been a lot of little, like Sam said, there's been a lot of little groups that have tried to do stuff. I think Redo It's probably has more traction than any group I've been in since I've been downtown.
So that's good. We want to build on that, right? You're gonna be part of
I
it.
think that, I don't know if the goals are line up with what this group is or not. No, and I'm a part of that mainly because anybody that's trying to make things better, it's kind of bad.
All things work together for the good, right?
Amen. So, yeah, I just appreciate it. It's a good group. Everybody here.
Really glad you're here. Katie?
No, good meeting, good foot in the door, get us an idea and maybe some direction. I'm sure it'll evolve and change as we go, but it was a nice introductory meeting. Thank you.
I feel it's been very positive. I feel like we all have the same greater good that we're all focusing. I think what I've took from the meeting better than anything else is what Rob brought up about putting the business owners downtown and forming a relationship. I think we really need to work on that and getting more people involved. Then I'd like to see if there's something we can do to work on that a little bit. So other than that, I thought this was a great meeting. I'm looking forward to coming again in the future.
Appreciate it.
That's exceeded my expectations for today.
All right, you got the last word.
Yeah, I just, I just want, I remember downtown, because I'm older than everybody in this room by some years. And, I remember because I wasn't raised in Porterville. I was raised out southwest of town, out southwest of the airport. But we were always in town. In fact, when I first went into City Hall, Patrice Hilders says, "Oh, well, the old manager, that was the Porterville jail." I said, "Yeah, I don't recognize it, but I've been in here before." And she goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know if there's a record on me, but I said I was a runner when I was a little. Mom would be in one of the dress shops and I just take off." In fact, I remember one time I remember getting picked up, and I think it was Jerry Fiala. That's when Fran Tarich's dad. Fran was the city police chief, but it was Patty Fiala's dad that came pick me up. You know, the old where the mud house is now, that was a Safeway grocery store back in those days. And I just wandered in there somehow. The manager held me until the police, he kept me there until Jerry came by and picked me up and brought me down to the police station. Mom would just figure she'd be running around trying to find me, but she'd always know I'd probably be down at the police station waiting to be picked up. So I have a rap sheet down at Porterville Police Department.
Good, I'm not the only.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Stan. And I just want to thank you all for coming and I appreciate all participation and the goodwill. I'm looking forward to the next meeting. I'll put together a more detailed agenda for us to chop on based on all of the discussions today. And then we'll start, fleshing out some goals and short and long term that we can really sink our teeth into. So thank you guys for coming. And I think we should end the meeting here.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
That's no good.
See you guys on the next one.
Something here about